Welcome back to the English Daily Podcast. I'm Anna, and today we're talking about spaced repetition, one of the smartest ways to remember new words, ideas, and skills.
And I'm Jake. I love this topic because so many learners study hard, but then they forget everything a few days later. Spaced repetition can really change that.
Exactly. Spaced repetition means reviewing information at increasing intervals over time. Instead of studying something once for a long time, you come back to it again and again, with gaps in between. Those gaps are important because your brain has to work a little to remember.
So the brain does not just sit there and receive the information. It has to make an effort to recall it.
Yes, and that effort helps memory grow stronger. Here is our first vocabulary word, interval. An interval is the amount of time between two events. If you study today, review tomorrow, then review again in 3 days, those are different intervals.
That makes sense. I used to think more study time always meant better results. But maybe timing matters more than total time.
Timing matters a lot. There is also a useful word here, recall. To recall means to bring a memory back to your mind. When you try to recall a word before checking the answer, you strengthen the memory more than if you simply read the answer again and again.
That is interesting. So if I look at a word and immediately see the translation, I may feel like I learned it, but I did not really test myself.
Exactly. Testing yourself is powerful. Another good term is retrieval practice. Retrieval means taking something out, like pulling information from your brain. Retrieval practice means trying to remember before you look. This can feel slightly uncomfortable, but that discomfort is useful.
Useful discomfort. I like that phrase. It sounds a bit strange, but I understand the idea. Your brain is doing the workout.
Perfect comparison. Just like muscles become stronger after exercise, memory becomes stronger after effort. But here is the important part, the effort should be repeated over time. If you study a list of 30 words for 2 hours in one day, you may forget many of them next week. If you review those same words for 10 minutes over several days, you will probably remember much more.
That is a big difference. So the goal is not cramming. Cramming means trying to study a lot in a very short time, usually just before a test.
Exactly. Cramming can help you survive one exam, but it is not the best way to build long-term memory. Spaced repetition is designed for retention. Retention means how well you keep information in your memory over time.
I want to use this for English vocabulary. What is a practical way to do it?
A simple method is to create small flashcards. On one side, write the English word. On the other side, write the meaning, an example sentence, and maybe a synonym. Then review the cards at spaced intervals. For example, if a word is easy, review it later. If it is hard, review it sooner.
That sounds very manageable. And flashcards are convenient because you can use paper or an app.
Yes. Convenience is one reason flashcards are so popular. Another good vocabulary word is effective. Effective means producing a useful result. A method is effective when it helps you learn with less wasted effort. Spaced repetition is effective because it focuses your time on what your brain is most likely to forget.
I have noticed that I forget words right after I stopped using them. Is that normal?
Completely normal. Forgetting is not always a failure. In fact, a little forgetting is part of the process. When a memory starts to fade and you review it before it disappears completely, the memory becomes more durable.
Durable means long-lasting, right?
Exactly. Durable means able to last a long time. We often use it for shoes, bags, or materials, but we can also use it for memories. The point is to make knowledge durable, not fragile.
I like that. So what would a simple weekly schedule look like for a learner?
Here is an easy example. On day 1, learn 10 new words. On day 2, review those 10 words. On day 4, review them again. On day 7, review them again. If some words are still difficult, review them more often. If they are easy, give them a longer break.
That seems smart because it saves time. You are not reviewing everything every day.
Exactly. Spaced repetition is efficient. Efficient means you get good results without using extra time or energy. It helps you focus on the words that matter most.
Could this method work for more than vocabulary?
Absolutely. You can use it for grammar rules, historical dates, presentations, medical facts, musical pieces, or even interview answers. Any information you want to remember can benefit from review over time.
That is great. I sometimes forget the grammar rule and then I panic during speaking practice.
That is very common. One tip is to make your review active. Do not just read the grammar rule. Create an example sentence, say it out loud, and then check it. The more senses and actions you involve, the better.
So I could write a rule, say it, and then use it in a sentence like, I have been studying English for 2 years.
Exactly. That sentence uses present perfect continuous, and by saying it aloud, you practice both memory and speaking. Another helpful word is routine. A routine is a regular pattern of behavior. If spaced repetition becomes part of your daily routine, it is much easier to maintain.
Routine sounds boring, but I guess boring can be powerful when it works.
That is a very honest way to say it. A good learning routine does not need to be exciting. It needs to be realistic. For many learners, 10 minutes a day is better than one stressful hour once a week.
I think the biggest challenge is consistency. People start with motivation, but then life gets busy.
Yes, consistency is the secret. Consistency means doing something regularly over time, even when you do not feel perfect. If you miss a day, do not quit. Just continue the next day.
That is reassuring. A missed day does not erase all progress.
Exactly. And here is a practical tip for learners who use apps: do not collect too many cards at once. Keep your deck small and useful. Review old cards before adding a huge number of new ones. Otherwise, the system becomes overwhelming.
Overwhelming is the right word. I have felt that before. A giant list can make people give up.
Right. Another strategy is to add context. Instead of memorizing only one word, write a sentence, a situation, or a personal connection. For example, if you learn the word curious, you might write, I was curious about the new cafe near my home. Context helps your brain remember meaning.
That is a great tip. Personal connection makes the word feel alive instead of isolated.
Exactly. Isolated information is harder to remember. Connected information is easier to keep. You can also group words by topic. For example, learn travel words together, then food words, then work words. But be careful not to make the groups too large.
So the trick is balance. Enough structure to help memory, but not so much that it becomes complicated.
Yes, balance is key. One more thing that helps is making reviews short and focused. If a review takes too long, your brain gets tired and the habit becomes harder to keep.
That is true. A short session feels much easier to repeat tomorrow.
Exactly. And if you want a quick self-check, ask yourself 3 questions. Can I remember this without looking? Can I use it in a sentence? Do I know when I would use it in real life? If the answer is yes, the word is becoming part of your active vocabulary.
Active vocabulary is a great phrase. That means words you can use naturally when you speak or write, right?
Yes, exactly. Active vocabulary is the language you can produce, not just recognize. Passive vocabulary is the language you understand when you see or hear it. Spaced repetition helps move words from passive to active.
That is a big goal for learners. It is not enough to say, I know that word. We want to actually use it.
Absolutely. And one more word for today is progress. Progress means movement forward. With spaced repetition, progress may feel slow in the beginning, but after a few weeks, you often notice that you can remember and use far more language.
I love that. Slow progress can still be real progress.
Exactly. Let's do a quick recap. Spaced repetition means reviewing information at increasing intervals. Retrieval practice means trying to remember before checking the answer. Flashcards, short daily reviews, and personal examples can make your study more effective and durable.
And the big lesson is that memory improves when you review regularly instead of cramming. Start small, stay consistent, keep reviews short, and make your practice active.
That's right. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe to the English Daily Podcast for more practical English, useful vocabulary, and real-life learning tips every day.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the English Daily Podcast.